It's been shaking lately alongside the activity in the globe. We've looked at the recent quakes in Melbourne here. Crete, is the activity something bigger happening beneath the surface?
It's definitely incredible. You really see the lava pouring into
It's judgment time. Recompense for everybody crimes. Say you ain't sin the Father, know you lying. Messiah opening them seals. You can't run the high. You're running out of time. You need to change your mind. Repent or die. The clouds getting closer to the earth. The wicked about to get hurt. Second entrance 15 and 4. Johnny coming saying, well, get on the ark and close the door. Your family you trying to warn. The Father ain't playing no more. It's creation, chase creation, but not the creator. They gon' say he wrong when they feel his anger. He said the prophets warning you from danger. He blowing candles out cause he the maker. He gave us life, folks say he'll take it. War of the wicked, we gon' see it with our eyes. Dwelling in the secret place and watching people die. Holding on to your word, while my head to the sky. By the blood of the Lamb, we still alive. It's judgment time.
After a day out of sight absorbing the unfolding events, the president emerged to address the nation. With details of what had happened.
Judgment time, they sold the 12 tribes. The same tree they hung us on, they burned it with fire. He sending floods, earthquakes, we in the end time. They gave his babies to the gators, don't forget now. He delivered us from Egypt, about to do it all again. Finding out that we the people, so we putting down our sins. Father, we wanna go home, Father, please let us in. Oh, and on to your word, cause you about to see your wins. Father, keep us from the hour of temptation. Trusting in your word, we just waiting. Come get us from these nations. Father, keep us from the trickery of Satan. Trusting in your word, not these nations. We in the tribulation.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook Live, good morning. Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, YouTube with Orlando, keeping it simple. How you all doing this morning? How you all doing? Happy Sabbath day, happy Sabbath day. This is the day that the Most High have made. So let us be glad and rejoice in it. Good morning, everybody. I hope your week was good this week. I hope the Most High have blessed you over and abundantly with the things that your heart desire. I hope that the Most High have poured wisdom and knowledge and understanding upon you. And I hope he just continue to bless you over and abundantly with love and joy. Even with your children, your offspring, I hope he has blessed them over and abundantly with love and protection and healing. My week has been pretty good this week. I can't complain that much. The Most High has blessed me more than I can, desire or ask for. So I can't say too much about it, but I'm just happy to be here today to be able to give you a word, a random word. I just hope everyone is paying attention to what's going on in the world today. I hope everyone is just paying attention to, just what's happening. We had over probably 20 or 30 shootings. I just said about 15 shootings in the last 2 weeks. A lot of them did not reporting. I think they're reporting the ones that really generate the news. And mainly those that generate the news is the ones that's being killed, the shooters that's killing quote unquote African American people or Hebrew people. I think those are the ones that generate the most news, so they're going to publish those the most and things of that nature. Um, but let me go ahead and get started this morning on the word. If you could turn to the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 1 through 17. Exodus 20, Exodus 20, 1 through 17. And it reads, And El spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Els before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, and thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So let us pray this morning. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Facebook and YouTube. YouTube with Orlando Keeping It Simple, and Facebook with Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, everybody. If you could turn to the word, or turn to the book of Genesis. Turn to the book of Genesis. Turn to the book of Genesis, and we'll be talking about from Genesis chapter 2, verse 4 through 19 this morning. Because the Most High been putting it on my spirit that it's a lot of misinterpretation of the text, and I'm not saying that I interpret everything right, and I'm not saying I'm 100% correct on anything, but I'm just trying to research as much as I can so that I can get a clear understanding of things. But he's saying when we're looking at the Bible or the Bible, we're looking at it from a Western or European thought process. He's saying everything that we do when it comes down to the Bible or the Biblio, we're doing it from a Western viewpoint or a European viewpoint. And when we're doing it from a Western or European viewpoint, we misunderstand the whole Bible because the Bible is written from an African or or from an African or a quote unquote black perspective, a black culture. It is not a European culture. It is considered to be black culture. So when we're looking at it from a European culture, yes, we're going to misunderstand it because it's a black culture book. It is primarily black, it's black people in the book, or the Biblio. So when we understand that, we're going to miss everything about it. We're going to miss the understanding that we need to get and the culture that we need to get, why these customs are here. Because if we look at it from a European culture, we misunderstanding it because Europeans don't really have a culture. They adopt everyone else's culture and make it their culture. So when we're looking at it from that, we have to look at the Bible from its true essence. And that's what I'll be going over today. And I want us to be able to understand, why did the Most High do these things? Why he put it in the second chapter in the book of Genesis? Why did he talk about it so much? And why it's like sometimes I was talking to this guy last week and he was telling me that he's going over to Africa, quote unquote Africa, to build him a house where he can start start building a house where he can make it his second home. And he said when he went to visit over in Africa, it's also called Alkebalan. Alkebalan. That's the name of it. Africa original name is Alkebalan. Alkebulan. Alkebalan means mother of civilization, a mother of mankind. So when he said he was going back to Alkebalan, a mother of civilization, of mankind, he said it's nothing like what you think it is. And I was like, for real, even though I have been to Somalia when I was in the military, he said, but Africa is not what you think it is. But we don't let it resonate with us in our conscious thinking because we only look at what they put on the television and make it this, and what they put on television, it discourages us from actually going to visit the mother of civilization. And because it is discouraged us from going to visit the mother of civilization, we decide that nothing good is in Africa or Alkebalan. So we decide not to even deal with it. But in actuality, we need to really truly understand in Genesis chapter 2, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm just going to read the key verse, but I'm going to read everything in it. But I wanted to resonate in your consciousness, your conscious state, a conscious mind, what the word is actually saying. Because if we do, we realize that we, in some sense or another, we've been tricked, hoodwinked, and bamboozled. Even though America is where the northern 10 tribes been, where's that? But this cradle of civilization was in Africa, or Alkebalan. So when we look at it from that perspective, we have to look at, when we look at the African cultures, the way they dress, the way they eat, what they used to eat with their hands and things of that nature, that's custom. And when you look at other people, when they start to eat with forks and spoons and things of that nature, those are their customs. Because I remember when I was younger, I used to go to my great-grandmama's house, and we used to have black-eyed peas, collard greens, and cornbread. And when we used to go to my grandmama's house, we used to crumble up the cornbread and eat the cornbread and the collard greens together with our hands, and we'd eat it in our mouths. But that's the custom that Africans had. If I can say that, that's the custom that Africans had, where they used to eat food with their hands and not with utensils. Because sometimes it seems like when you eat the food with your hands, it gives you more of a flavor than you eat it with utensils. So I'm gonna be talking about that today because we have to understand that the cradle of civilization, everything imaginable came from Africa. Or Alkebulan means mother of mankind. So we understand that. Let us not look negatively on the continent of Alkebulan. We have to look at it from a different viewpoint because what we've been told is not true. Why do you think the Chinese people are over there so much now? Because that's where all the minerals are at. That's all the resources. But let me let's go ahead and dive into it because it also, what it does, it gives you a sense of it gives you a sense of ownership. It's just like I was talking to this Jamaican. I'm gonna get ready to get started in a second. Just hold on for a minute. Just like I was talking to this Jamaican one day, right? This guy from Jamaica, and I asked him. I said, "Do Jamaicans hate black people or African American people?" And he said, "No." He said, "We just have pride in our homeland. We just have pride in our homeland." What are you doing, baby? He said, "We just have pride in our homeland. It's okay. We just have pride in our homeland." He said, "Yeah, we just have pride. We're proud people. We're proud that we are from Jamaica." And he basically saying, because y'all don't know where y'all from, we got something over y'all to some extent. We're proud to be from Jamaica. We're just proudful people. And anytime anybody, you know, are dealing with, I'm gonna say African American people or Hebrew people, they always boast about their homeland, where they're from, where they're from, where they're from, where they're from. Even though Jamaicans were shipped from the Turtle Island of the United States and sent to Jamaica, they claim in Jamaica where they think they're from, but they're originally from America or U.S. But they ain't really did their research to even find out that they actually their ancestors were shipped from the Boston up north and shipped to Jamaica because they were some rebel people, not because of anything else, not because they didn't come from the U.S. They came from the U.S., but they were just shipped from Boston and all up northeast and shipped to Jamaica and the islands because they was rebel and they brought in the Hebrews from the west coast of Africa to the islands and to Americas down in Louisiana because they was more docile and they was able to work with them more. That's all. But in Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, it reads, "And Yahuwah took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden and to dress it and keep it." Let me read that over. "And Yahuwah took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it." Okay? If I may give a title to teaching today, the title of the text today, the title of the text today is The Cradle of Civilization. This is where this is where actually civilization started. This is where actually the civilization started. And if I may give two words today, two words is origin. Origin is the beginning or is the first existence or beginning of anything. If practical, trace all events to their origin beginning. Origin means fountain, source, cause. That's from which anything primarily proceeded, started. Also, origin is ancestry, arise, lineage, birth, appears above the horizons and become visible. So When we're looking at the word origin means this is where everything started from. Everything started from Africa. Okay? Everything started from Africa. Okay, the word law, the word law means it's a 1640 century, a 16th century word. Okay? Law is an orderly system of rules and regulations by which a society is governed. I want us to understand that. Law is an orderly system of rules and regulations by which a society is governed. Ordinance, rules prescribed by authority, regulations, legal privileges. From the Hebrew origin of the Hebrew word law, it means Torah. Torah means for teaching and directions for life, and the one mostly used for the law and principle which God, El, has given to his people for their benefits and spiritual well-being. Let me read that last part of it. The word law means it's for teaching and directions for life, and the one mostly used for law and principle which El has given to his people for their benefit and spiritual well-being. That's what law means. The law is for a spiritual direction, and it is supposed to benefit the people. So when people say that we're not up under the law no more, that means that they're not up under no spiritual guidance. They don't have no boundaries. That means that they're unlimited to whatever they want to do. So that means that what you see today is lawlessness, bestiality, homosexuality, adultery, alcoholism, mental illness, um, greed for money, killing, murder, stealing, rob, rape, anything you want to name, because they're not up under any kind of spiritual law. They are breaking all the physical laws. So you have to first become formed spiritually before you can be in and do anything physically. So because the the church has been told that they're up under grace now, which means favor, kindness shown without regards to the worth or merit of one who receives it. Meaning that you get grace even though you don't deserve it. But that's what people that they say they are up under grace now. That means I can do whatever I want to do, which is totally wrong. So now when we're looking at this, in the beginning, the Most High, he started to create things. He had started from the foundation of the earth. He started to be able to bring wisdom into it, bringing light. Then he started bringing the herbs in the ground, the fowls of the air, the water. He was bringing all these things to develop it. And he was developing Archibulin or Africa. He was developing that for the habitation for the people, or the habitation of the people. He was developing the continent of what we know today as Africa, Archibulin, for the development of the people. This is where everything started from, and how it started, the way it was supposed to start, and things of that nature. So when we're looking at it, it's like, wow, okay, this is where everything originated. If you really let that resonate in your mind, that means that your thought process should be more on a black thought process, or African or Alkebulan or Hebrew perspective, and not from a European perspective or viewpoint. Because that means that if your thought process is European, that means that you're not associating yourself with the landmass that you originated from. You're not associating yourself with the customs that the people have in the land. You're not associating yourself with the traditions that the people had in the land. You're not associating yourself with that and how they celebrate the things in the land. Because you it's like I'll read that book in a minute. But it's like you have to be able to understand that the Most High, this is where He created everything. This is where He put everything. He put everything in Africa. And every man branched out from that point to go to wherever they went. But the main source was on the continent Al-Kibalan or Africa, which means mother of mankind, a mother of civilization. Okay, so now let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 4, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. But I'm just gonna deal with three points today, if I can, because I think it's very vital. I think it's very vital that we understand it because we don't have no association with nothing, a connection with something. Because we don't have no connection or association with it, it's like we just out here just doing whatever we want to do, how we want to do it, the way we want to do it. But if we have some connection to something, it'll more settle us down and make us understand things a whole lot better. Okay, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 4, it says, "These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord Yahuwah made the earth and the heavens." And then I'm just gonna say Lord and God, but just overlook it. It says that in every plant of the field before it was made in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. I'm gonna say, for Yahuwah had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahuwah formed man out of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Understand it. Where man became a living soul, He formed man out of the dust of the ground, and he became a living soul. The dust of the ground, you do know what color the dust of the ground is, but if not, let me show you. Let me show you what color Yahuwah is. Go to Revelation chapter 4, verse 1. Because let's just go to 2 and 3. Revelation chapter 4, verse 2 and 3. We first got to understand that when Yahuwah said we're going to create man in His image, we understand that Yahuwah is the spirit, but we also know that He's going to have some physical attributes to it too. So in Revelation chapter 4 and 2, it says, and immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. The word jasper, what a jasper stone looked like, a jasper stone looked like, and a sardine stone looked like. The skin complexion, or the complexion of it, looks like meat. It looks brown, looks dark. And if you want to go back and look it up. It says, and he that sat, meaning that he can actually physically see what sat on the throne. Listen to it again. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. Meaning that I'm not saying, I'm just gonna give you a hypothetical situation. Just say that Yahuwah was I'm Yahuwah. I'm sitting on the throne. He will look just like me. Probably would, I don't know, but the skin complexion will look just like me. Okay? The skin complexion will look just like me. So this is Yahuwah. In Revelation 1 and 14, now I just read 15 because everybody knows this verse very well. And his feet like unto fine brass. Fine brass mean burnt brass, mean nice looking brass, like dark complexion, as if they burn in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. So what it's telling you that because Yahuwah created us in his image, not just physically as well as spiritually, and not as well as spiritually, but as well as physically. So we look just like him, dark people. Okay? So now let us go back to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. So when he said the dust of the ground, the dust had to be dark particles. Because it just read you in Revelation chapter 4 and 1, Yahuwah was dark, the Messiah was dark, his offsprings are dark. And I'm gonna show you that as well. Okay, and the breath into his nostril, the breath of life, which is the Holy Spirit, and man became a living soul. And Yahuwah planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. The word Eden means, I think I wrote it down, but I'm going to look it up. The word Eden means house of pleasure, means Syria. Eden means house of pleasure. That's what it means, a house of pleasure, a land of goodness. That's what the word Eden means, a land of goodness. Let me read that over. And Yahuwah planted a garden eastward in a land of pleasure, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made Yahuwah to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight. All this is on the continent of what we call El Kibalan, or Africa. All this is on the continent of Africa. Dark-skinned people was in the beginning on the continent of Africa. This is all the beginning, and I'm going to show you some more stuff in a few minutes. All this was in the beginning. All this was in the beginning on the continent of Africa. El Kibla means man, mother of mankind. And good for food. Listen to that. And good for food, and the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, midst of the land. Let me do something real fast. The garden means protection. When you're looking at the word garden in the Strong Concordance, it means protection. And it says, out of the ground made you, excuse me, to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good food for the tree of life also in the midst of the protection, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So now let's look at it. This ain't just where this is not just where a man was formed, but it also is telling you what the first fruits and first vegetation was. It's not just telling you about vegetation. It's not telling you about just the first food. It's not just telling you about humans was developed or created. All this was on the continent of Africa. And see, a lot of the times, do we really think about that in that magnitude? Do we think about it in that sense? Because if we did really truly think about it in that magnitude, in that sense, would we really have Caesar or Borgia on our wall in our house? That is like a spit in the Most High's face when you bring a European Jesus into your house and put it on your wall, when I just showed you that the Messiah and Yahuwah and the Messiah and the Most High was of dark complexion. All of it came from the continent of Africa. How would you think he would look at that? How do we look at that? Because a lot of times we've been doing things out of order because of what we've been told. Okay, let's go to verse 10. Let me go back to verse 9. It says, "Out of the ground made Yahuwah El to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food, and the tree of life." Listen to that. The tree of life also in the midst of the protection. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's also telling you where the source of information comes from. The source of information came from the cradle of civilization, which is in the continent of Africa. We forget that these pyramids that was built over probably 7,000 years ago are still existing to this day, and they was built directly in line with the stars and they are in the center of civilization, or they're in the center of the globe, or the flat surface. The technology they had back then to build those pyramids, they can't even do that to this day. It's letting you know how much technology they had back in Africa. But they call them monkeys. They call us monkeys. They call us dumb and stupid. They call us ignorant. But the cradle of civilization, the cradle of knowledge, the cradle of food, the cradle of medicine came from Africa, but they called it, they discovered all of this. And because we don't really dissect the word like we should, we don't put ourselves with connections to that. That's why I read you the word origin. Origin is the first existence or being of anything. If practical, trace all events to their origin, beginning. Verse 10. Now, this is what I'm going to start talking about locations. My first point, if I can give one, is location. Then I can go back and give some other stuff too, but I'm just going to go with location. And the rivers, verse 10, and the rivers went out of Eden to the water of and the river went out of Eden to water the garden, to water the protection, to water the landmass. And from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. The first name, the name of the first is Pasan. That is it which compassed the whole land of Haviah, where there is gold. Listen to that. Talking about resources. Resources are in Africa. Okay, and I'm gonna get to the name of the country in a few minutes. The name of the first is Pison. That's the name of the river. That is it which compassed the whole land of Haviah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and oxen stone. Understand why they over there in Africa raping the land so much, because there's so much gold and minerals over there. I remember I used to see videos where the Chinese people they was taking so much gold out of Africa and sending it back to China because it's so much, it feels so much with gold. Africa got so much gold and diamonds. That's why they're doing they're raiding the diamond mines. Haviah is considered to be man, did I mess it up? Haviah is considered to be Nubia, because there wasn't Egypt. Egypt didn't exist at that time. The name Egypt didn't exist. The name Sudan didn't exist. The name Ethiopia didn't exist until Europeans encountered it. Because Europeans come into existence into Africa around 800 BC. This is over 4,000 years or 7,000 years or 2,500 years or 250,000 years after black man was on the continent. Their first arrival into the dark continent was around 800 BC. So Haviah was considered to be Nubia. Then Nubia became to be Ethiopia. Ethiopia became to be Sudan. South Sudan. All of those people are one people, but they're just living in different countries. But all of them extends from Nubia. Then Egypt came, and then Ethiopia came, and then South Sudan came. But the name Cush, what you can call it, Cush. The name Cush, which is in Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. These are the sons of Ham. It means a dark-skinned person or black. That's what it means, dark-skinned person or black. Haviah means, that's what it means. But it also is the country name, the modern day country name is Sudan or Ethiopia. And if you go do the research on the minerals that's in Ethiopia, you'll come up with bdellium and oxen stone. Bdellium and oxen stone, that's what you'll come up with. If you research the minerals, the vital minerals that's in Ethiopia and Sudan, that's what you'll come up with. Okay? Let me go to Genesis chapter 25. Because why would the Most High create the Cradle of Civilization on the continent of Archipelago or Africa and did not provide the resources that they need to be able to sustain themselves? Why are you thinking everybody is racing to go to Africa and to take all the minerals and everything out of Africa because it's full of so much stuff in it? And what I mean by stuff is filled with so much vital minerals. In the Congolese or in the Congos, That's how they create your iPhone. That's how they make things out your iPhone because of what's in the Congos. They've been racing the Berlin Conference. You need to do research on that because before the encounter of Berlin, the Europeans during the Berlin Conference, it was only 12 countries that existed on that continent. But after the split of the Berlin Conference, they split the country up in so many different pieces. So when we start talking about the continent of Africa or our Archipelago, we got to understand, we got to look at it from a different viewpoint. We got to look at the people from a different viewpoint. We got to look at ourselves from a different viewpoint. Because that's where everything came from. That's the cradle. That's where everything is. That's where it's so vital. That's why so much oil and minerals over there. But they tell us, oh, it ain't nothing over there. And they show you the decapitated states of Africa and don't want you to go over there and visit just to see how beautiful it is. But why would the Most High create this landmass and to make it desolate where he can't provide for the people over there? In Genesis 25:18, listen to how they say Haviah, okay? It says, and they dwell from Haviah unto Sar, that is before Egypt, as thou goest towards Assyria. And he died in the presence of all his brethren. So what they're telling you is Haviah is close to Egypt, or in Egypt, or close to Egypt, which is Nubia or Sudan or Ethiopia. You wonder why the United States are over there so much? Because they're trying to take everything they got. Because they know what it's filled with. You want to know why China is over there so much? Because they know what it's over there. But we look at it and we shine on it, and we'll go to Mexico, which Mexico is not bad, but if you ain't going to the pyramids in Mexico, you ain't doing nothing. We'll go to Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, in which we should be trying to go to Africa. Let's go to Isaiah, because I want you to see something. Haviah is considered to be Egypt. Haviah is considered to be the land of the blacks. So it's when you're looking at it from that text, it's talking about black people. Let's go to Isaiah 11:11. Let me read verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root. Listen to this. Listen. Means ancestry. Ancestry. To be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for the ensign of the people. And to it, and not into it, it says, let me go back over and let's start over. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 10. Verse 10 and 11. I thought I said that. Okay. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 10 and 11. And in that day there shall be a root, an ancestry of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek. Listen. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall set his hand against the second time to recover the remnant of his people. Listen to this. Which shall be left from Assyria, which is northern Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria, and from Egypt, which is Nubia, Sudan, and Ethiopia, and from Petros, and from Cush. Cush is Ethiopia. They just separating it. And from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. We talk about all dark-skinned people. All dark-skinned people are in these locations that we're talking about. Ethiopia means, which was Kemet, before Ethiopia was Kemet, and after Kemet, before Kemet, it was K Pather. K Path. It's spelled Kaptah. K Path. K-Path, something like that. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. But that means, Egypt means the black land. And K Path, it means, K means the Ka dash is the life force or spiritual double of the person. And the Ptah, it means God maker of things, a patron of craftsmen, a sculptor, a high priest, chief controller of craftsmen. What it's telling you is that the Ethiopian was worshiping the spiritual deities way before the Europeans, the encounter of the Europeans. Way before the encounter of Europeans. So when you look at this, Cush in Ethiopia, and Shinar, and Elam, and Hamath, and from the islands of the sea, and Syria, all these were people of color worshiping in the spirit. I'm not saying they didn't do other things as well. But they understood, the Most High understood that this land was a land of black people. And these names, when you research the names, it tells you what was going on and who was in the land at the time, what the people looked like, what their culture was. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 24. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 24. And see when you try to put a European, when you say that I'm not up under the law no more, that means that you don't have no code of conduct. Everybody should have a code of conduct. And everybody in ancient time had a code of conduct. What you will and won't do, what you should and shouldn't do. And if you don't have no limitations on what you will and won't do and what you should and shouldn't do, or what you will and won't eat, you're going to be destroyed. Because the makeup, it's very important. If you even look at if you did a comparison of the ingredients that's in the dirt, it will be the same ingredients that comes from the sky and the same ingredients that's in your melon. Just do research on it. Just do research on it. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 24. Every place whereon the sole of your feet shall tread shall be yours. From the wilderness, from Lebanon, and from the rivers, and from Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. This is telling him he has so much land mass. And see, sometimes we don't even think that civilization came from Africa. or Al-Keelan, we don't think that vegetation, the foods, and all the stuff came from Africa. Because if you understand, if you do some research, like I think black eyed peas came from Africa, and some more other stuff came from Africa, and they brought it on their trading or on their way from Africa. They brought some of their foods from Africa and they brought it over here, and it became some of the customs of the people of the native people over here in the U.S. on Turtle Island. Gold comes from Africa. Diamonds come from Africa. All the minerals come from Africa. That's why everybody's fighting to get to Africa. Also, let's go back to Genesis chapter 2. Let's go to verse 15. He put him in that Pacific area, in that Pacific region for a specific purpose. And why he did it, he equipped him with everything that he needed at the time to be able to survive. See, over in Africa, you can grow your food all year round because the climate is so good that you have sun and you have water and you have rain that it can grow food continually without no problem. You can grow food on a continuous basis all year round. That's something we don't even think about. They said over there in Sudan, I think, because the soil is so rich, a person who has arthritis can go lay in the soil and it can help heal their arthritis in the land, in the soil over there in Sudan, which is considered to be Nubia. But we don't look at it from that perspective. We don't think about continent of Africa from that viewpoint, because they just tell us, oh, Africa ain't this, and oh, Africa ain't that, and oh, Africa ain't this. But that's where everything is. If it wasn't that way, why everybody over there? Verse 15 in Genesis chapter 2. And Yahuwah took the man and put him in the garden in the protection of pleasure, to dress it and keep it. This large landmass, Most High put him in there and told him to keep this land. And Yahuwah commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou may freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge and of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in that day thou eatest thereof shall surely die. The word knowledge. The word knowledge means cunning, means awareness. It means wittingly. But it also is a primitive root to know. The word knowledge here means to know properly, or is used in a great variety of senses, figuratively, literally. And it says, it means, knowledge means acknowledge, acquaintances, advise, answer, appoint, assuredly, to be aware, unaware, can, certainly, for a certainty, comprehend. That's what the word knowledge means, to be able to comprehend everything. So knowledge came from Africa. They was doing surgery way before the Europeans was, because don't forget, Europeans came into Africa around 800 BC. This was on the downfall of Africa. because there was so many conflicts going on at the time. Knowledge. We want to talk about it. Wasn't the Cradle of Civilization just wasn't a location. It held knowledge. It held knowledge. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. And I want us to look at the book different. I want us to look at the Bible different. I want us to look at the Bible different because if we look at the Bible different, we'll look at us different. Because Ham means hot, burnt, and black. That's the son of Shem. That's the Ham. That's the son of Noah. Cush means a dark-skinned person or black. Mizraim means Egypt, the land of black, fortress. Put means Libya, but it also means a boat. And Yemen. Canaan means merchant, trader, or that humbles or seduces. Canaan is Jerusalem, Palestine. Put is Libya. Mizraim is Egypt. Cush is Sudan, Nubia, and Ethiopia. All those are black. Even Shem is the same way. They deal with Hebrew mostly in Shem because that deals with Hebrew. So in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, and it says, listen to it because we got to understand where the Most High was dealing with Adam, or man, at. Where he was dealing with, he was dealing with them on the continent of Africa, right? So the Most High was speaking to Adam on the continent of Africa, Akibium. Okay, and God and El spake, and El said, "Let us make man in our image." I just showed you how the Most High looked. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion, means power over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creeped upon the earth. How are they going to be able to have that without the knowledge to know how to do it? Who named all the animals? Let's go to Revelation. Let's go to Genesis 2 and 9. Hold on. Let's go to 18. Yes, let's go to 19. Sometimes we overlook things. Most High said he gave knowledge. In order for Adam to be able to name the creature, he had to have the information. Where did the information come from? Where did the knowledge come from? Where did the awareness come from? And out of the ground, Yahuwah El formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam, which was a dark-skinned brother. And brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. Adam had the knowledge on the continent of Africa to be able to name all the animals on the continent of Africa. Do we honestly really paying attention to that? Our dark-skinned brother had the abilities and the knowledge to be able to, on the continent of Africa, to be able to name all the animals. Did we really pay attention to that? Or did they just, or we just read that nonchalantly and overlook the significance of it? What you think? Because a lot of times they like they just call us porch monkeys and all this stuff, and they do this, that, and the other, do this, that, and the other. All everybody, they just laugh at us and talk about us like a dog. Like we're good for nothing, but let's look at all the inventions we have created. Let's look at all of that. Let's go to Genesis chapter 11, verse 6 and 7. So when he give you the minerals, he give you the herbs, he give you the silver and the gold and all the jasper stones, he gave you all of that. He gave you the authority over the animals, he gave you all of that. Hold on. Verse 6 and 7, it says, and Yahuwah said, behold, the people is one, and they all have one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, meaning that these people on the continent of Africa can do whatever they want to do, which they have imagined to do. Let us go down and there confound their language that they may not understand one another's speech. They had abilities through that knowledge. See, we don't look at the abilities to be able to build the stuff. We just sometimes focusing on why they build it. Not realizing that, man, these people had the abilities to build whatever they needed to build. They try to get up to the heavens, even though we know that's impossible. But these people had the abilities to think and to be able to know what they needed to do to make things happen. On the continent of Africa, these dark-skinned people. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because sometimes we can have low self-esteem about ourselves. And sometimes we cannot see ourselves in the scripture the way we need to see ourselves. And because we don't see ourselves the way we're supposed to see ourselves, we miss what the Most High is trying to do. We miss everything the Most High is trying to do. That's important. This is very important, chapter 2. But do we let it resonate with us? The movie Blood Diamond showed you that people are killing people over minerals, and they'll do whatever they got to do and turn around and sell those same minerals that they killed somebody over. And where they got the blood diamonds from was over in Africa. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 2. I just read verse 18, 19. Let's go to 20. Listen to what Adam did. Because of the knowledge he had. Because of the knowledge he had, and Adam gave names to all the cattle, and to all the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an help meet for him. I'm just going to deal with the knowledge part. They built customs and ways of life. They built customs and ways of life in Africa that still sustain to this day over hundreds and thousands of years. I'm just going to give you 3. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5. Got to still understand that all this stuff didn't come from Europeans, it came from Africans. Or Alkebalans, the lands of the blacks. They wasn't called Africans, they were just called the land of the black. They were describing the land because of the color of the people in the land. This is one custom that they should have. It's hundreds of customs. Circumcisions is another custom. All these are customs, ways of life. It says the woman shall not wear that which is pertaining to a man, neither shall a man put on a woman garment. For all that do so are abomination unto Yahuwah thy El. See, the Most High gave these customs to the people so they can continue to pass them down. Ways of life. When you see the Africans and why they wear the long garments, it's for specific reasons. If you look at an Arab man, cause the way he dressed, and you look at an African man, say a man from Arabia, then you see a man from Egypt, and then you see a man from Sudan. Most of them wear the same type of garments, which covers up majority of the flesh, so that there won't be no lusting after the flesh. And see, I was looking at the term, this is what you hear people say, which ain't even in the Bible. Come as you are. The words come as you are is not in the Bible. We'll clean you up when you get here. But the slogan of the verse is come as you are is not in the Bible. But we say that because it's a slogan. It's not even in the Bible. The Most High don't want you to come as you are. When they say that, they're using that from a mental aspect and not from a physical. That's what they mean it from. They're not telling you to wear your short mini dresses and your halter tops and your cleavage showing. They're not saying it from that perspective. They saying it from a mental aspect. Yeah, we know you may have some mental issues, but come. We know you got some sin problems, but come and we'll work on that. But they're not telling you to come to church with a halter top on, showing your cleavage, and a short skirt that shows all your legs. No, they're not telling you to come like that because that ain't African culture. That ain't African tradition. They have a very modest dress code. Let's go to Deuteronomy 25 and 6. I'm just giving you small stuff. Some of y'all ain't finna like this one. I'm finna read now. This is customs that we had back in Africa because what we think the Most High was trying to do, or the way we think the Most High want us to be isolated and not and be independent, but no, the Most High wants you to be codependent on everybody around you. That's why in Africa they had 10, 11 wives. Because it was about the village, it wasn't about no individual. But because now they have gotten to have so many customs from other nationalities or ethnicities, they losing their boundaries. Deuteronomy 25, 6, 5 and 6, it says, if brethren dwell together, and one of them die, have no children, the wife of the dead shall not marry without a stranger. Her husband brothers should go in unto her and take her to him to wife, and perform the duties of a husband brother unto her. Listen to this, just a custom. Now, this is a custom. And it shall be that the firstborn which she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother, which is dead, that his name may not be put out of Israel. That means that if two men was living in the same household and they was married and one of man died, that means that the brother who lived had to marry the brother's wife and impregnate her and make her, and when she have a boy, that the brother who died name still shall live. See, that's how the Most High talk. That's why the Most High is king on names. These are customs, African traditional customs. But you can't even get black folks in America today even live together. Because we so separated. We so selfish. Let's go to Numbers. And it's vital that we read Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. It's very vital that we read that. It's very vital that we understand why he wants us to practice the Passover. That's a custom for traditional purposes. Numbers chapter 5, verse 6 and 7. It says, "Speak unto the children of Israel, when a man or woman shall commit any sin that men commit, to do a trespass against Yahuwah, and that person be guilty, listen, then they shall confess their sins which they have done, and he shall recompense his trespasses with the principal thereof, and add unto it the fifth part thereof, and give it unto him against whom he had trespassed." Meaning that you should first handle all your affairs within your own community. But also, the person who made the offense should pay double. Verse 8, "But if a man have no kinman to recompense the trespass unto, let the trespass be recompensed unto Yahuwah, even to the priest, besides the ram of the atonement, whereby an atonement shall be made for him." He said, if the man is not alive that who he need to pay, go give it to the church. Go give it to the priest. Them are some of the customs. And if we just really dissect it, the Constitution that we have, some of it come from African tradition. When Black Panther Party was feeding the people in the community, where do you think the WIC program came from? The WIC program came from what the Black Panther Party was doing. You got to understand that the Most High gave a certain people certain things for a specific reason. This is First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 48, right? And it reads, "So the Gentiles rose up against them in battle. So the Gentiles rose up against Israel in battle on the Sabbath. And Israel slew them." Hold on, let me make sure. No, that ain't right one. Verse 38. No, 48. Let me show you something. The reason why we have an image of a European man as Jesus. Okay? Let me tell you something. Apocryphers is very important because the apocryphers they're important because it lets you know the events that happen between the old covenant and the new covenant. This is called the intertestamental period. So this is called the intertestamental period. It gives you an idea on how the Greeks came into Jerusalem or Palestine or Canaan, and they changed the customs. When they went in there and changed the customs, they made people do things they shouldn't have done, and they even done this in Maccabees chapter 3, verse 48. And laid open the Torah, lay open the book of the Torah of Yahuwah, wherein the heathens had sought to paint the likeness of their image all over the place. They changed the pictures. All the names of the countries that you see today are Greek names. They're not African names. They're not African names. But let me read you something and I'm closing. Understand what a cradle of civilization is and what the Most High did when he created it. He put people in that territory in the image of him. He provided the herbs, he provided the silver and the gold, he provided the knowledge that they needed to have to sustain and keep it. It says in Yahuwah in Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, and Yahuwah took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden, the land of pleasure, to dress it and to keep it. Let me read you something. This book right here called The Africans Who Wrote the Bible. Okay, let me show you this. Let me read you something. It says, these missionaries told me that this guy was talking about his experience with European missionaries, okay? This guy was talking about his experience with the European missionaries, okay? Okay, and this is what the European missionaries made him do. Listen, it says, these missionaries told me that I will be saved in the eyes of the Lord if I decide to forego my African paganism ways. They also told me that they came to the Gold Coast, Ghana, with the word of the true God. That they came to save my people and me from the devil and his ways. That's what the missionary said they came to do now. They came and told him to get rid of your paganism ways, and they came to save him from everything that he was doing. By calling the Christian God the true God, by calling the Christian God the true God, the missionaries was again confirming that they came to us in Africa because we were pagans. Imagine my disappointment when I found out that these missionaries did not even know the origin of the God. They professed to be their true God, the mine in Africa. Imagine my disappointment when I found out that it was the God of my ancestors and my people that Europeans adopted as the Christian God. And now they were using the same God to condemn me because they were as ignorant as I was. European missionaries teachers also told me that I had to be born anew because I was born a pagan and a sinner in the eyes of the Lord. For me to be born anew, they told me that I had to share my indigenous identity. The first step in shedding my African identity was to give up my name. According to the missionaries, the name my people have carried for thousands of years. and to give me, in my turn, to perpetuate the survival of our people was pagan. I believed them and I submitted to be baptized and given a Christian name. So Yahuwah and the Lord would recognize me as one of his own. On my way to Christian heaven, again, I did not know then that Christian heaven was an adaptation of my people, ancient afterlife imagination and concept. I thought it was real. The missionary teachers told me that my name was pagan, so they gave me the name Alexander. Whatever it meant or whatever the name came from, I did not know. But I proudly went around the world introducing myself as Alexander. This name was not even a biblical name. It was later I found out that these missionaries was not set on Christianizing me, but they were secretly Europeanizing me, so I would never know about African heritage and identity that they didn't want me to know and inherit. What am I saying? Talking about salvation. Our salvation is connected to our homeland. Our salvation is understanding the customs of our homeland. Our salvation is connected to the customs and the traditions and the names of our homeland. Anytime you look at the movie Roots, you'll see that they tried to make sure that they took the name of Kuta out of Kuta Kinte's mouth and renamed him Toby. Because anytime you want to associate someone, disconnect someone from their homeland, you first got to do is disconnect their name so that you can't find the name. Because that's what I've come across this week is that my last name is Dumas. And when I go on the slave manifestations, my last name is associated 45 times with 45 Dumases, a Dumas, on those slave plantations, on those slave ships manifest. So when you disconnect a person's name from them, you're disconnecting their identity. And when you disconnect their identity, they're subject to be up under no laws and rules and regulations at all because they ain't got nothing to connect themselves to something. But our salvation is connected to the continent of Africa. Because that's where everything originated from. That's where the customs come from. That's where the traditions come from. That's where the laws, statutes, and commandments came from. That is the cradle of civilization. And if you want to know how those customs are and was and how we really should be as people, we need to do more researching of Africa. Because a lot of people are leaving America and going to Africa. Because I'm not just associated with Africa through my Dumas last name. I'm associated with America because I'm part Cherokee Indian. A Cherokee, the tribe of the Cherokees. So it's very important that you understand that Africa, the Most High, He planted all the resources there. There was never such thing called the Middle East. There was never such thing as a name called the Middle East until 1901. And they did it for various reasons. But the word Middle East was only been in existence for like 121 years. But what was that before then? Palestine, Canaan, Jerusalem. But if you say Jerusalem and Palestine and not the Middle East, you connecting Palestine and Jerusalem to Africa. Then what you connecting to Canaan. Okay? And Canaan means the land of the blacks. See, they don't want you to know that Canaan was the land of the blacks as well. So when you really want your salvation, you want your wholeness, you want your completeness, we got to go back to Africa. We got to go back to Canaan or Palestine or Jerusalem. We got to go back to Nubia, Egypt, Sudan. We got to go back to those places, Ghana. We got to visit, understand what the Most High was doing back in those days. You can't disconnect yourself from that because it shows you in Genesis where he created everything at. He said in verse 13, he said Ethiopia. Verse 14, he said Assyria. In verse 11, he said Havaya, which is Nubia. Similar, the northern part of Africa, or Arabia, was developed. The southern part wasn't. So you really want salvation, you want wholeness, you want understanding. Go back to where everything started from. Customs, knowledge, traditions, and all that stuff came from Africa. Then it spread throughout the world. Spirituality came from Africa. Spirituality wasn't established in America. So I'm gonna close with that. The brother in the book said, man, they were trying to teach me my heritage, but they couldn't even teach me my heritage because they didn't know it. How can I teach you something that's yours and I don't even know it myself? Can't. But I can trick you, hoodwink, and bamboozle you. And it was all about trying to get that land. Because what they know what was in the land. Gold and minerals and vitamins and everything else. Everything that goes around the world comes from Africa. Arabia. Mother of mankind. Let me pray so we can go and finish enjoying the Sabbath. Just continue to. I think you all need to start preparing yourself for hard times, really, really hard times, physically and spiritually. Start eating one time a day for a week just to see how you can do it. See what time would be good for you to eat. Make sure you have oregano oil. Make sure you have tea tree oil. What else did we get? Oregano oil, tea tree oil. What's the other one? Chamomile oil, lotion. Chamomile lotion. And what else? That was it. I thought you bought one more of them.
Lemongrass.
What you buy?
Lemongrass.
It's a lemongrass. All those are for, you can take those for skin. Any type of rashes that breaks out, anything like that, you can use that for skin irritation. So make sure you start preparing physically and spiritually because we're getting ready to go through it. I mean, seriously, go through it. All right? Let me pray so we can go. Abba, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we praise you. We give you all the honor and the glory, Abba. We thank you for everything you have done, what you continue to do. We thank you for just putting your wisdom and knowledge upon us. We thank you for allowing us to be able to hear your word today. Abba, we just thank you for everything that you're doing when you come down to your judgment. Abba, we have been misled and misguided on so many levels of your word. We can't even understand the level and how long they did it. But we know that we've been miseducated on so many levels. And Abba, we ask that you forgive us for not studying your word the way we should. Because we left it up to someone else to teach us, and when we should be teaching ourselves, we should be dissecting the word ourselves. So, Abba, we ask that you forgive us for that. We ask that you help us and continue to guide us in that. Abba, we ask that you continue to lead us in the ways in which you want us to go. Abba, we ask that you forgive us for everything that we have done. We ask that you continue to show us grace, something we didn't deserve, because we don't do the things that you ask us to do the way you want us to do them. So I will forgive us for that. Forgive us for procrastination. Forgive us for putting things off for today, for tomorrow that we can do today. Forgive us for not keeping our bodies as a temple, not using it as a temple. Forgive us for not studying your word daily, even if it ain't nothing but 10 minutes a day. Abba, forgive us for mistreating our brothers and sisters. Abba, forgive us for backbiting. Abba, forgive us for hating one another. Forgive us for not supporting one another. Abba, forgive us for just doing anything that goes against your law, statutes, and commandments. Abba, forgive our forefathers. Forgive our offspring. Forgive our friends and our enemies. Abba, we know that you are in control. But also, we ask that you help us to prepare physically and spiritually for what's ahead. Prepare us for whatever we got to do. Let us be able to do it, and let us understand this is for your cause and our purpose, and your purpose and our cause. Let us be aware. Let us get ready, because we know times are coming. Because your word is spoken, and it is coming to pass. You said your word will not go out and come back void. In all these things we pray. So let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Facebook Live with Breaking Strongholds Ministry, and YouTube with Orlando Keeping It Simple. Y'all be blessed. Have a good one.
You are raging fire. I'll be the ear to make it higher. You are raging. You are raging fire. And I'm truly inspired. And I'm ratings in every aspect. Give thanks to the most I see the best. When we get best, believe me, have your back, me, have your foot, me, have your leg. You and me, I saw and hear you, I said, man, I'm rebel. With a call, you make me comfortable from the start. I keep pulling from Brian man. I keep pulling from firm and strong. I keep pulling from full of life. Me, I keep pulling you are my first choice. You are.
Hold on.
Raging, you are raging fire. I'll be the ear to make it higher. You are raging, you are raging fire. And I'm truly inspired. Greatest company, commandos. Some people I need a one jack shows. They want what I can't see it. Join with me on the rocky road. Let me carry this heavy load. Together with this ever Babylon go. Mama,
no, they can't see it. They can't see it. Baby, they can't see it.
You make me comfortable from the start. Bulan is so firm and strong. And the Bulan you so full of life. Me and the Bulan, you are my first choice. You are raging, you are raging fire. I'll be here to make you higher. You are raging, you are raging fire. And I'm truly inspired. Shoulders broad like the savannah. Your skin tone burn like the sands of the Sahara. You protect me like a Santi warrior and stimulate my mind like the marijuana. When I love speak, it balance my heartbeat and it pleases me how you treat me. Agibulan is a royal man. Agibulan is so firm and strong. Agibulan is so full of life. Me Agibulan, you are my first choice. You are raging.